destination. We thank you so much, Lord. Please accompany us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand with me as we pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board. We're appointed by the City Council and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is I'll call the petitioner. If you would please come to the podium, speak clearly and loudly into the mic so that we can, those of us on the board can hear you well, and we'll be taking the minutes of this meeting, as well as anyone else in the audience to be able to hear your presentation. Once we receive public testimony and discussion on a particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate, will render our decision. I'll remind the members with a personal or a financial interest in any item, you're required to recuse yourself from voting. In any testimony that is submitted by the petitioner or on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the agenda item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to that motion. Remind the members of the board, if a motion to deny an item is made, a reason must be given. This time I'll introduce the members of the board that are here tonight. I think we've got at least one more on the way. Ms. K.T. Brown is our Vice Chairman, Mr. George Howell Jr., Mr. Blake Markham, Mr. Bart Prince, Mr. Picarise, and I'm John Stanley, your Chairman. Our staff tonight here is Mr. Tommy Tyson, Mr. James Center, Ms. Jovan Hines, our recording secretary. Do you have anyone have any questions? It requires 5 votes to approve a motion. So we have 6 here tonight. Now, one other is on the way. If you feel like that might affect the outcome of your presentation, you're welcome to delay it till the end of the meeting or delay it to the next meeting. Okay, the first item on the agenda tonight is presented by Johnny Perkins. Mr. Perkins here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
This was a complaint. The board acted on it, gave him time to get a survey of the property. So we're at the point now that it won't come back before you. We'll take him to court.
Repeat that again. It will not come back to us unless he reapplies?
No, sir. No, sir. He has run his gamut, so to speak, and our only choice is to take him to court.
Okay. Okay, because of the complaint.
Yes, sir. I mean, we can't rock and roll, months and months, and the board gave him leeway, and that's all.
To remedy the issue, and he apparently hadn't done so.
Yes, sir. And that's our only recourse.
Okay. All right. We'll leave that in y'all's capable hands. We have one more member coming in right now, so we're going to wait till he gets in and settles down before we go to item number 2. We'll get started, and this is Mr. Bo Holmes. He can hear the testimony. Bo, we're waiting on you to get in, get settled down there. We're on item number 2. Okay. Item 2 is presented by Baker Donaldson, representing Tillman Infrastructure, LLC, requesting a special exception for a cell tower to be located on the north side of Ashley Road, approximately 1,500 feet west of West Boulevard, in an Ag 1 district and an R65D zoning district. And we heard a lot of testimony at the last meeting. Andy, we'd like to avoid getting into a lot of that like few.
Yes, sir.
In any of the opposition to get to the point so we can make a decision, because we're not here to rehear it.
No worries. Thank you so much. My name's Andy Rotenstrike from Baker Donaldson Law Firm, here on behalf of Tillman, who is looking to build this site for AT&T. When we were here at the last meeting, we postponed it at the request for some additional information, which I've laid before you in a packet that I put before the meeting. The request was for a map showing the difference in the propagation between the existing tower owned by SBA and the proposed tower by Tillman, with the SBA tower being raised. So what I've provided you is such a map, which again shows the red, which is the area we're trying to cover for AT&T, and how much better it is from the Tillman site than from the existing SBA site. So this is the map, Bo, that you requested. So the other thing to point out is, talking with the city attorney and looking back through the ordinance, you know, there is no telecom ordinance in the city of Montgomery's zoning code. So there is no requirement that AT&T co-locate on an existing tower, which is what SBA is trying to make us do. So the issue of whether AT&T can co-locate really on the existing tower should not apply in this hearing. Even if getting on the other tower for AT&T was relevant, AT&T has shown through the map I provided you today and the maps last week that it doesn't work for them economically and coverage-wise. Look, SBA is not entitled to a monopoly. That is what SBA wants you to give it, is the ability to be the only tower in the area so it can have a monopoly. The zoning ordinance does not provide that for SBA. Their tower did not go through the zoning process. Remember that. It was built right on top of the houses if you look at page 2 of the handout. That is the existing SBA tower and how close it is to those houses. If it had gone through zoning, it would not have been able to be built that close. T-Mobile is the carrier on the existing SBA tower. We have a letter from T-Mobile that's also in your packet that says it will consider moving to the Tillman Tower if built, because economically it would make more sense to them. They're not guaranteeing it, but they certainly will look at it. They're having the same issues with SBA that AT&T is. If T-Mobile comes off of the SBA tower and moves to the new tower, then that existing tower you're looking at hanging over those houses could be taken down, because they won't have any tenants and won't have any revenue. SBA could rebuild the tower by coming in front of this board, and Tillman would be fine with that. But they'd have to do it somewhere else. So, Tillman and AT&T have followed the rules. We have come before you asking for approval. We follow the ordinance. There's no requirement that the ordinance, that AT&T co-locate on the SBA tower, and no requirement that SBA be the only game in town. The new tower meets the requirements of the zoning code, staff agrees with it, and we request approval of the tower that's proposed. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Andy, do y'all still intend to surround the facility with Leland cypress as stated in the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Okay. Ms. Brown?
after going out and talking to the neighborhood and studying the information and getting other information from proper sources, I see no problem.
Okay, well, we're going to have to hear from the opposition and anyone else in here who may have another opinion about that, but we'll get to that.
John Holmes.
Any other questions? Mr. Holmes?
Just briefly explain the map that you provided and what the blue again and the red
Sure.
is again.
So what I had AT&T prepare there was a map that showed where the Tillman site is better in red compared to the SBA site. So the red is really what we're focusing on. Most of the coverage that AT&T is seeking is to the west. Although these towers are about 3/10 of a mile apart, the Tillman Tower is located to the west of the SBA tower, so it reaches places like the Hyundai Motus plant and other places that are specific targets for AT&T.
And this was done based on raising the height of the...
That's right. So the map, I gave you the same map last month that showed the SBA tower at 180 feet. Now again, AT&T would be the second one, so they'd be at like 160. This is with AT&T being on top at the same height as they will be on the Tillman Tower.
So based on your map, then this blue...
Which is
if
not...
if you were there, you'll never get this coverage.
That's
over here.
exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Any other questions, board members? Is there anyone in the audience that would care to address this item? If so, please come forward. Hello.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
I have a lot of papers, but I promise I will try to be succinct.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicole Hardy. I'm here from Harris & Harris, representing SBA Communications. My
And I hate to
firm-
interrupt you. You're going to have to pull that mic down and speak
Yeah.
a little louder and closer into
The
the
Mike and I got
acoustics.
in a fight last time. so-
Yeah.
I
Because we
pre-
do want to hear everything you've got to say.
I appreciate that very much.
And so please speak loudly and clearly.
Okay, my name is Nicole Hardy, here for SBA. My firm is Harris & Harris at 420 20th Street North in Birmingham. I have provided everyone with the exhibits that I provided to the board members last time for the benefit of anyone who did not maintain them or if you weren't here last time. And very, very briefly, I'm going to summarize those exhibits. We provided the board with Exhibit A, which shows the relative location and the distance between the existing SBA tower and the proposed Tillman AT&T tower. The distance between the two is 0.28 miles, a little over a quarter of a mile. Exhibit B that I provided to the board is the site summary, and this lists the details of the SBA tower as it exists now, as it sits. It was built, I believe, in 2007 by T-Mobile, and my client acquired it in 2012, so they are the current owner. I am unaware of any reason that it does not comply with current zoning regulations. I'm not sure exactly what Mr. Rodenstrike is referring to, but as far as I'm aware, it's compliant with all zoning requirements as it sits. Exhibit C that I previously provided to the board is a structural analysis report. This report was prepared in February of 2021, and this demonstrates that the tower, as it sits right now, is structurally sound and can support the capacity, additional loading, I think it's called, additional loading to support the AT&T antennas. Exhibit D is, and actually Exhibit E Exhibit D is a design document for the current tower as it sits, and Exhibit E are the site development plans. And both of those documents together show that there is plenty of existing capacity for additional tenants. There's only one tenant currently, which is T-Mobile, and that there currently exists space for AT&T to co-locate at 150, 160, and 170 feet. So those are the exhibits that I provided to the board last time. And when we left, the board allowed me the opportunity to gather some more information to answer questions that were presented last time. And primarily that being, can the SBA tower accommodate AT&T to the extent it would like to lease space and provide comparable coverage. And I have documents to answer those questions for you. If you will, flip to Exhibit F. We're going to start with Exhibit F. Exhibit F is a statement from Ms. Kelly Kitchens, who's the site marketing manager for SBA, and this is her territory. This is also her statement about her efforts to reach out to AT&T to co-locate space on that tower. Ms. Kitchens makes the statement in here that the tower, as it sits, can accommodate AT&T as well as FirstNet and 5G equipment. There was some issue raised about that by Mr. Rodenstrike last time, about FirstNet specifically, 911 service. The tower, as it sits, can do that. But Ms. Kitchens states further, she confirms in here, that the tower can be extended to accommodate AT&T, extended up to 199 feet to place AT&T at the top tier. That was another question that the board members had, is could AT&T, if SBA was willing to extend it, which we are, at its own cost, which we will, could AT&T have the top tier? And the answer is yes. So the next question, I'm going to skip to exhibits H, I, and J. Real colorful illustrations here, and I'm going to try to state them succinctly, summarize them for you, and then I'll go back to exhibit G, which sort of summarizes it. Exhibit H is the propagation map, the RF study that we have been talking about last time. And these are colorful illustrations that demonstrate the coverage that can be achieved with a tower in existing location and equipment placed at a certain height. So Exhibit H is the propagation map for the existing site, the SBA tower, at 170 feet, as it sits right now, with equipment placed at 170 feet. That just shows you, for explanation of the coverage, to add to the confusion, the colors on our propagation studies actually are the opposite as those of AT&T. When you look at these maps, the blue is the strongest signal strength, the green is stronger, and as it tapers out to red and yellow is when the signal gets weaker and weaker on our propagation maps. So, the next one, Exhibit I, is a second map prepared for the existing site, SBA's tower, with equipment placed at 190 feet. And what we're going to focus on is the big blue dot in the center, and then it gets, as it broadens out, turns green, which is still good coverage, and then it gets yellow, and then it gets red. And in the periphery of those circles, the red area is when you begin to lose coverage. Then to Exhibit I. Exhibit I is a propagation map for AT&T's tower, where it is proposed with equipment placed at 190 feet. And you can, if you want to compare SBA's Exhibit I to Exhibit J. And you can see the blue circles are nearly identical, along with the green, and then out to the yellow and out to the red. This is comparing AT&T's proposed site with equipment at the same height as the SBA tower extended. But if those are, to me, sometimes they're hard to read, distinguishing between the colors. But there is, in Exhibit G, a summary of the RF coverage plot analysis, which is what this is. This is plots of cell service, cell signal. And the summary concludes that the proposed site would constitute an overbuild because it's effectively duplicative of the coverage that the SBA tower can accomplish extended to 199 feet. Moving from the RF studies and the colorful maps and everything, I tried to come up with an exhibit that was a little bit easier to understand. And my final exhibit, if you could look at Exhibit K, and the last page of Exhibit K, it's an aerial view of both the proposed site and the existing site. And you will see that the blue arrow pointing down is the current SBA tower. The blue arrow pointing up is the proposed AT&T site. And then you will see that there are a number of red circles on this page, the last page of Exhibit K. Each of these circles represents, is just a graphic, an illustration of signal, how far, what radius the signal will reach. And we've assumed a 2-mile radius for each of these circles. So each of these circles represents a 2-mile radius from a tower. Starting at the top of the page, I wanted to point this one out. This is an existing SBA tower. It's not even what we've talked about, but it's an existing SBA tower that has an AT&T tenant on it now. So AT&T is providing service from that tower now. Moving down to about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on the page clockwise, that is another SBA tower where AT&T is currently providing service. As you move towards the bottom left of the page, that's yet another SBA tower where AT&T is a tenant and is providing coverage. Now get to the center where the 2 blue arrows are. Those 2 circles represent SBA's current tower service, as well as AT&T's proposed tower service. And you will see, I think, that they are nearly identical. The only way that they're not identical is the fact that they are 0.29 miles apart. So therefore, they don't go superimposed on top of each other. They're 0.29 miles apart, and therefore AT&T's will go just a hair further west, SBA's will go a little hair to the right. But for all intents and purposes, the coverage provided, as reflected in the RF studies and as reflected in the final page of Exhibit K, the coverage provided will be comparable, nearly identical. For those reasons, SBA requests, I'm sorry, there's one other point I wanted to make. Mr. Rodenstrike is correct that there is no ordinance, regulation, statute, what have you, requiring AT&T to co-locate on an existing tower. However, it is the discretion, within the discretion of this board, to determine whether a special exception is warranted, whether the building of a second 200-foot tall tower, 75 by 75-foot compound, is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. Is the board going to allow a second tower to be built 0.29 miles away from a tower that exists and can accomplish the same purpose? Thank you.
Have a question.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, service is inadequate there now.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're here,
Yes, sir.
okay?
AT&T is
Why-
not a tenant on that.
Why has service not been addressed on the SBA tower before now?
SBA has offered space to AT&T, and AT&T has declined leasing space. If you will look back.
But is AT&T the only one that would meet that requirement? Aren't there other service providers or the existing tenant that's on the SBA tower today? Why could they not improve the service?
I don't know that there are any complaints about T-Mobile service within the radius of the tower.
I've heard there were.
Okay, I'm unaware of that.
Yeah.
I do know that the space has been offered to AT&T, and what the goal is, it was described to me as a honeycomb. I don't know if you remember the cereal, honeycomb. But when you, in your tower placement and the placement of your equipment, you have a tower, your equipment on that tower, and then you accomplish service in a radius. And then you have another tower, and you either own the tower, you place your equipment on the tower through a lease, and you establish service in another circle. And your goal is to cover the area somewhat that the circles meet, so you don't have gaps in coverage, but yet you don't need a virtual duplicate overlay That's shown in Exhibit K.
Okay, any other questions, board members?
Yes, could she restate SBA's request so that I may write it?
I apologize, I didn't hear your question.
Would you restate SBA's request?
Oh, the SBA requests that the board deny the application for the special exception by Tillman and AT&T.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, would you like to come back and address these issues? We'll give you just a few minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, thank you. Just a couple of points. Number one, the propagation maps that Nicole just provided you are propagation maps prepared by SBA, not by AT&T, whose service we're talking about. SBA does not have access to AT&T's proprietary information to make the accurate maps. So please rely on AT&T's maps, not SBA's. Secondly, in the summary, which apparently was Exhibit G, maybe, I think, I lost count, of Nicole's paperwork, there was a summary about the proposed site would be an overbuild. Well, it may be an overbuild for SBA, but it's certainly not an overbuild for AT&T, who's trying to get service to those customers in the area. That's what this is all about. So, look, AT&T is on several SBA towers around here, around the state, and around the country. This tower of SBA's does not work for AT&T. So it's not that we won't ever do business with them. This particular location doesn't work. That's why we're here asking for this tower. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Have y'all attempted to make it work?
Always attempt to try and co-locate. Much cheaper for AT&T,
Sure.
AT&T to do that.
Sure.
Absolutely. And if we can get an economical rate on a tower that works from an engineering standpoint, that's a done deal.
Okay. Any other questions, board members?
What would you say the estimated cost to build the new tower compared to they're going to extend it and they're going to pay for that, but obviously you're going to have some cost putting it on. What's the difference in cost?
So Tillman will pay for and build the new tower and will own it just like SBA does.
Right.
We have not seen SBA. They have not filed anything with the FAA yet, which I expected them to do between last meeting and this meeting, to increase the height of that tower. So we don't know they're going to do that. All right?
Let's just, for example,
Regardless
let's
of
just
that,
say they are.
Fine. We're months and months down the road if that happens. Tillman's ready to build this one now. So the cost issue, a cost is probably about, to build a new tower, I'm going to estimate around $100,000 to $150,000. But to extend an existing tower, it's probably half that.
And they would pay for it.
Yes, Tillman will pay for the new tower, and SBA is offering apparently
Right.
to pay for the.
So you guys are willing to spend a lot more money to build your own tower, basically is what you're saying.
Right, because AT&T
To
is
provide a
willing-
better service.
That's right, because this tower will be in the right location, and the economics make more sense for AT&T.
Any further question, board members?
Hey, John, is there anyone in the neighborhood that has an objection to putting another tower?
Okay, good question. Is there anyone in the audience that's a neighbor or who might live close by that would like to come forward and speak regarding this particular item?
This is Mr. Wood, who is our landowner.
Hello, Mr. Wood. Need to, if you would please provide your full name and address.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me approach the board.
I'm sorry, we need your full name and your address.
I'm Clarence M. Wood, and I'm a resident of Ashley Road and property owner, and own some small businesses in the area. And we feel that we need this service, we need more option to get better cell phone service and anything in the future that may, come up. But with several other family members and business owners in the area feel that we need the service. And we thank you for your consideration.
In your opinion, has cell service been inadequate out there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to address this item?
Yes.
Mr. Prince?
And with that service,
You're gonna have to speak loud, I can't hear you. And
With that service, T-Mobile would be more broader radiance for the services that it's providing now.
AT&T, yes, sir.
AT&T.
For AT&T, yes, sir. Right now, the coverage is inadequate. This would fix that.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Brown?
I move that a motion be made for a special exception for a cellular facility in that area.
You move for an approval
Yes.
of the motion, of the
Yes.
petition as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Second from Mr. Howell. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor of the motion to approve this item, please raise your hand. It's unanimous, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 is presented by Cedric Young. Mr. Young here. Requesting a special exception for a private school to be located at 6989 Halcyon Park Drive in an O1 zoning district.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Young?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Young. Tell us what you want to do. I believe you're going to operate in a multi-tenant building, correct?
Can you repeat that one more time?
You're gonna operate in a multi-tenant building, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us how you're gonna use it and what you're gonna be, your hours of operation.
Yes, so we are trying to start service for healthcare, allow the school teaching, medical assistant, nurse assistant, phlebotomy, and then CPR for those who already have their certification needing to be recertified and for newcomers who are trying to get their certification.
Okay? Our agenda here says that there will be a maximum of 15 students
Yes, sir.
and a maximum of 6 staff members.
Correct. That's including front office as well as teachers as well.
Okay. So this is limited to students and staff members only, correct?
That's correct.
Any retail sales occur here?
No, sir.
No retail sales. Hours of operation Monday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday from 9 o'clock a.m. to 1:30 p.m., correct?
That is correct.
All right, so you are part of a shopping center, is that correct? I'll call it a shopping center. I know where the property is.
No, sir.
what was
it?
A retail-
There's a
What-
law
what-
firm there, and then
I'm sorry, what?
a law firm, and also automation is on the opposite side of where we're going to be at.
Who is the landlord of this property?
Louis Woolbright.
Obviously, he's in agreement with it,
Yes, sir.
okay? Well, it's a multi-tenant office building, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there are 65 parking spaces, so that's why we want to make sure how you're going to limit your,
Yes, sir.
your use. How many square feet are you going to be occupying in this building?
All.
Oh, you taking the whole building?
The upstairs, what we have all of that in that unit.
Wait a minute. That is I believe that building is occupied by 2 other people, 2 other companies, correct? 4, right, Ed? Okay. My question to you is how many square feet are you going to occupy of that building?
I think it's 2,400.
Yeah. Ed, you want to come up?
Sure with that.
Help him out here. My point here is we want to clarify your use. We want to clarify how many people are going to be there because you got a parking lot that's limited to 65 parking spaces. Okay? And we can't have your use cannibalizing that parking lot. And that's why the owner, you're leasing your space from one owner, correct? But there are 3 other owners in that property, right, Ed?
I believe it's 4.
4 others.
Yes, sir.
Okay, have y'all gotten their permission for him to do this?
Well, first, I'm Ed Fleming with Hodges.
Ed, you're gonna have to speak up. You can't,
Okay.
you gotta speak.
Ed Fleming with Hodges. I do represent the owner of that particular condo unit,
Right.
Dr. Woolbright. I have talked to Morris Capuano, who is over the association for all of them, because it's just like a condo at the beach. Everybody's got their own thing. And he sent me an email today that he approved of everything. He had talked to Cedric, and they were good with everything that we were doing.
What about the Alabama Contractors Association, Billy Norrell?
I have not talked to Billy. I assumed that Mr. Capuano had talked to him, since he's over the association. 'Cause
You mean Mr. Capilouto?
Yeah, Capuano, yes, sir.
Well, Alabama Contractors Association is in that building,
Oh, yes, sir.
and they own their portion.
Right.
So,
In the daytime, I've been by there, and maybe 12 cars total are in. Of course, it's been COVID and whatever, but there's not much car parking going on, and they won't add that much more to it.
okay, so the space he's occupying, there's still 3 other owners of that property, right? It's a condominium type use.
Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe it's 4, Mr. Stanley.
4 more or
4 more.
4? But my question is, have y'all gotten permission from everybody for this use to go there?
I do not have anything in writing from anybody, no,
Yeah.
sir, except for Mr. Capilouto, Morris.
Yeah. See, if he's got 15 students there and he got 6 staff members, that's 21 cars.
Yes, sir.
And the parking lot, 65 spaces.
Yes, sir.
When did you want to occupy and get open?
What was that again?
Huh?
Can you repeat that last part one more time?
What's your time frame? Because,
Okay, so the max is 15. That's not necessarily sure that there are going to be 15 at one time. We're going to split because some people may not be able to attend 8 to 12 in the mornings because they may have work and other obligations, so there's going to be split. So there's some can come between 8 and 12, and then the others can come 1 to 5, but we're going to be training too, so it's just a combination of what they're going to be doing at the time. So it won't be 15 per se, maybe 10 max at.
I know, I get it, we deal with parking every day, okay?
Yes, sir.
And you
Stanley,
can cannibalize the parking lot real quick.
Right. He also does virtual on his license he has now. He actually has virtual training on it, so they wouldn't actually have to come in all the time to get.
I know, but Ed, I'm concerned that the other 3 owners are not aware of what's going on here.
I'll be glad to regroup and get with each and every one of them, get you something in writing. Be glad to.
Can you wait till next month to get this approved? That's when,
Yes, sir, I can.
board members,
They don't know about it.
I'd like to ask for a delay of this till the next meeting.
I would like for you to make the statement to get it approved or not approved.
Well,
What?
um,
so
How,
they
how,
won't-
how big is
So they won't leave here
the,
with.
the
with
total
that.
building?
Well, his unit is 2,400 square feet, broke up into 5 different offices. The total building, I guess, is around 5,000.
So he's taking up almost half of the space.
I don't think that's
Well,
possible.
you see the picture
No.
up there?
I don't
no,
think that's. I
that
don't-
building's 8,000 or 9,000 square feet,
that's
but
what
you
I'm-
got 4 separate condominium owners in
Right,
that
so
building.
he's taking a
Billy
th-
Norrell's one of them.
He's taking a third of the parking.
Yeah. He's taking a third of the parking and maybe only occupying 25% of the building.
Right. His building would be that inner square up there.
Yeah.
This is on the 2nd floor, the way it was built. The other offices are all downstairs. His
It's
is
the
up-
second floor space only
Yes, sir.
that he's taking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mr. Stanley,
isn't this really between the guy that owns the building though?
Huh?
Isn't this really between the, or each individual space is owned by different individuals, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were all aware of the meeting. In fact, they sent out an email if from Dr. Woolbright to all of them. If they wanted to know more about it, they could come to the meeting tonight and Cedric could explain to it. And then he talked to Morris as well, and they communicated and talked on the phone. So there's been communication on all that, yes, sir.
Yeah, I get it. Ms. Brown, do you have a question?
Yes, I did. Are you saying that you got 5 businesses or offices that are using the 65 spaces?
Yes.
Oh, he's not alone.
No, he would be one of,
Of
four,
5.
of 4 or 5 others. Right.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you don't overdo the parking lot, okay? But
One more
I
question.
don't know, yeah.
Okay, medically related. What are you saying, medically related?
What am I saying? It's medically related? Is that
You're
what you're
saying
What sort of training are you doing?
Medical assistant, nurse assistant,
the school
phlebotomy.
will be medically related.
Yes.
What are you?
Define medically related is what she would
Well,
like.
Okay, so medically related is that we're going to be teaching those things. I have my nursing as well as the other teachers as well, so we're going to be teaching nurse assistants so that they can take their certification.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's great use, great use. I'm just concerned about the parking.
What are the other buildings there? I mean,
Huh?
are any of the other buildings a retail, or are they just a small office
It's
where they
all
might have
office.
only 2 or 3 people at one time?
It's all office.
I mean, like Moore's Capuano.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Tourists.
probably only has 3 or 4 people at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if
And
everybody
Billy-
has
Alabama.
five cars filled up, and the
Yeah.
other that's 20 cars, and he's going to take up
Yeah.
15, that's still less than half the parking lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it advertised?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was advertised.
Were
so
there
if they had
signs
an
placed?
interest, they could have been here.
It was advertised and it was also posted, so there were signs in front of the building on both streets.
Okay.
It'd been hard, Mr. Stanley, it'd be hard to miss the signs coming into work.
Do what, James?
It would have been hard to miss the signs,
Yeah.
anybody coming into the building to go to work.
Right. I agree with that.
Are there anything, is there anything in the condominium documents that speak of how many parking spots each unit has available?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
So it's just
It's,
an open
it's all
parking lot.
reciprocal parking. First come, first served.
Okay.
Okay, any other question, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Holmes, you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr.
Hold on,
Prince? Yes.
Can we put a limit on the number of spots that based on what
A
his
number of
testimony?
parking spaces or
Based
what?
on, yeah, based on what he's asking for?
We can't enforce it.
Okay. But can somebody bring a nuisance claim or anything if it gets to,
I believe, Mr. Holmes, that would be a civil issue. Someone's over the condominium association and has made a decision to lease it to this man, so I think it would be civil.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll just make it as requested then.
Do what?
I'll just make a motion to approve as requested.
Have a motion to approve as presented. Any further discussion?
Will he make that motion again?
Would you make that motion again, Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, just, I'd like to make a motion to approve as requested.
Okay. Just remember, you're limited to the number of students and the number of staff members,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes.
We don't want somebody in that building to come back and be upset
I understand.
about parking, okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and here's the other thing. Since you are going to be open until 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, you want to make sure you got plenty of parking lot lighting,
Yes, sir.
okay? And you need to, work that out with whoever to make sure you got parking lot lighting, okay?
Yes, sir.
While those students are coming and going,
Okay.
okay? Have a motion to approve it. Did we have a second?
No, he did.
Mr. Prince made the second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your hand. It's approved.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is presented by Larry Speaks, representing Surgical Dermatology Group, requesting a parking variance for an addition to a building located at 7300 Halcyon Summit Drive in an O1 district and a B3 district.
Stephen Speaks with Larry Speaks and Associates, representing the surgical group.
Tell them to talk into the
This
mic.
site.
Stephen, you're gonna have to speak louder and
I am gonna have to, or I'll step up. I'll step
we
up.
don't have hearing problems. We just can't hear you well.
I just
from
can't
there.
hear you. Is
Yeah,
that better?
the acoustics here are not great.
That's all right. That's all right. All right, so this site's located on Halcyon Summit Drive. There are actually two doctor offices side by side. Mark Heron on the right side, Chris Harmon on the left. Dr. Harmon is proposing to add on to his building. It has some surgical suites. They built these two sites in conjunction with one another. They have one shared access, and they have cross access that circulates their parking between the two facilities and then back out again. They are limited with the amount of land they own on this is the south side of the property. They're proposing to expand the parking lot as much as they can to get up as much as parking as they can. They still can't meet the zoning requirement for parking. We're working under a B3 zoning. This is really an office use, but the city tells me we can't do that. We've got to use B3, which is a highway commercial use that's basically 25% higher than what an office use would be. But I've got with me Robert Brandon. He is with the group. He's going to talk a little bit about the use of this addition and the numbers and that sort of thing. So I'm going to let Robert talk about that, and then I can answer any questions you may have. Robert.
If you can scroll back up to the previous slide, it shows the proposed construction expansion. While it looks to be more than a double footprint, what this actually is an ambulatory surgery center, which is part of our process. We remove skin cancer throughout the day. We're skin cancer specialists, and general dermatology services provided in the existing building. And this piece added to it is the recovery side of the repair side of the procedures that are done in the existing building. So the number of patients doesn't increase throughout the day because they can't be in both places at the same time, and the doctor can't be in the same place at the same time. We currently have this structure in our Birmingham office where we added an ambulatory surgery center in our processes. And so the patient comes in, the doctor removes the skin cancer, and then they're wheeled to this second part of the building, the ASC, where the repair takes place in the removal of the skin cancer. So our experience in Birmingham has been that our patient volume doesn't change because the rate limiter is the doctor and the total procedure. So what we're asking for is to obviously increase the size of the building, which would increase the experience for the patient to have a good experience and a good outcome, medically speaking.
So I want to make sure that it's clear to the board members that there is crossover parking allowed with your lot and the other lot where
There's a possibility, yes, sir, with
Dr. Mark Heron is located.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
As far as I understand, yes, sir, that is. I was not part of that conversation, but it's reported to me that that was agreed upon.
I know there's joint shared access there, but overflow parking is allowed between the two lots, correct?
Yes, sir, both disagreement between both doctors that's a possibility, him or us.
Okay. And in the event parking ever becomes a problem, you cannot park in Halcyon Summit Drive.
We don't want them to. Staff or patients.
That's part of the record, okay?
Yes, sir.
How many current employees do you have, and how many patients do you expect at any given time period?
It's hard to answer that question, what we do have, because there are different positions there throughout it's not a set schedule of staff every day.
On a max, just give me your max day then.
It's about 10 or 11 that at the most would be there at the same time. This facility would add 4 or 5 more positions, so we'd go from 10 to basically 14 or 15.
And then number of patients, max number of patients at one time?
Dr. Harmon typically does 20 cases on a Monday morning when he's there.
So would all 20 be there at the same time?
No, sir. That would be a bad day.
Right. So what would be the most at one time then?
Well, he's doing 6 patients at a time, and then
so 6 having surgery, 6, then those 6 go to recovery, and then some more would come into surgery? Or
we don't usually do it that way because then they're waiting a really long time.
Okay.
We stagger that throughout the day.
Okay, so maybe 7 or 8 patients in
Yes,
the
sir.
building at one time?
Yes, sir.
So 22 to 25 people.
Yes, that's a good number. Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and they have 33? Is the 33 current, or is the 33 with the additional parking?
Our current spaces are 23, so.
Okay, so that additional is going to give you 10 more. Okay. Okay.
I didn't bring up the fact that excuse me, I'm not talking, as John said. They're talking to the neighboring property about actually adding some more beyond that, and we can't count that, because that hadn't been worked out yet, so we're working on that, but 33 total, would be on site, actually on the Heron piece of property, that's not counting anything on Harmon. Excuse me, on the Harmon side, not the Heron side.
So you're still probably going to have 5 to 10 extra parking places available, not to mention the overflow next door that you
That's
guys
correct.
agreed on. Okay.
And
All
I've
right.
been out there twice. I went out there 2 months ago when we made the application. None of these spaces out here on the street had cars in them. I went back again today to look at it. None of them had cars in
Yeah, I
them.
mean, Dr. Heron can't fill that many places up. I mean, at one
Exactly.
time. I mean,
Right.
that's a lot of spaces.
It's a lot of spaces.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions, board members?
Yes, I hear all the talking and thing about the parking. All I need to know is, in the crossover parking, will there be exactly 27 spaces that you need? You have 33. You need 60.
He's still asking for a 27
He
space
doesn't need 'em
parking
'cause he's
variance.
asking for the
But he wouldn't need them with the
The crossover parking.
crossover parking. They're
That's
not
what I'm
required.
asking.
They're not
Yes, ma'am.
required.
They're not required. That's what I needed to know in order
That's
to
why I
deal
asked
with
the
it.
question, do they have crossover parking? And they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
But I just wanted to know, will that crossover parking take care of the 27 necessary parking spaces if they need them?
It'll make up for it.
It'll make up for it?
Yes.
That's what I needed to know.
Okay?
Thank you.
Question,
Any other questions?
question.
Mr. Howell?
Where do these people go now that will be using this space in the future? Where are they now?
They would be the majority of our existing patients.
Okay. And you just run through them slower? Is that what it is? Because you don't have the space for them, or what?
No. What the change is they're going to an OR hospital-type setting for the repair work. Right now, it's in the room where they're getting the excision or the surgery piece, the procedure place. So they're moving to a different part of the building for the second part of their procedure. It also involves some CRNA services, some sedation services. So it's a much better environment for the repair side as opposed to what they're doing now. So
Okay, you're making room to do a better job.
yes, sir, exactly.
That's what it is. Okay, that makes sense, simply put. All right,
Okay.
gotcha.
Good questions. Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second,
Have a motion to approve, Mr. Howell. Have a second, Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Item 5 is presented by Christina Caron, requesting a height variance for a new privacy fence to be located at 101 Woodvale Drive in an R85 zoning district. Ms. Caron?
Evening.
There you go. Pull it down and speak loudly, please.
I'm a little short, so. Good evening, council.
Go ahead.
I am requesting to have a privacy fence put up that is a sound barrier for Atlanta Highways noise. It is, at times, I've done decimal readings, and the decimal readings get up to 93 decimals. And there's as low as 65, I believe. So right now, it's an existing 6-foot fence, and that is not doing anything for the road noise and the car noise in my backyard.
Okay, you back up to the Atlanta Highway.
Yes, sir.
I assume you realize 12 feet is mighty high.
Yes,
And
sir.
all it takes is a heavy wind to blow it down.
That's why I'm a contractor.
I understand. Have you considered 10 feet?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, 12 is.
12 is, let me just say this, it's the board's decision, but I don't know that we've ever approved a 12-foot high fence.
Yeah, we have.
Yes, we have, Mr.
We
Stanley.
did, went by there and it was a disaster.
Yeah, maybe we did one time?
With
Yeah.
the guy with the signs.
Yeah.
And,
So-
and I rode by to look at it and it was.
This guy's a contractor, so he would know, but we'll hear what you got to say, and then we'll decide what we can do, but 12 feet is mighty high.
Yes, sir. And we have done a survey so that to figure out what would block the sound. The Ledyard property next to me, the gentleman's an engineer there, and he said 12 foot will block the sound of the road, but I'm still gonna have to deal with the booming music.
Well, we get it.
And
Sir,
I
would you
do
like to
know-
speak to it?
I do know that there is a 12-foot brick wall on Perry Hill.
Where?
That's
and
brick.
Going from.
That's pretty, you talking about at the VA Center?
It's across the street from the VA. He knows more about
I'm not.
engineering. than
That's brick.
Yeah,
And
that's a lot of difference.
wind don't blow down a brick fence, unless it's a tornado.
Do they
But,
have a fence now?
ma'am,
Do they have a current fence?
do they have a what?
Do they already have a fence?
That one that we did.
Do you already have an existing fence along that rear property line?
How high is it?
How high is it? 6 feet? Yeah. Let me look at that. That appears to be, that appears to be 7 feet. What you think, Pickett?
It's a 6-foot privacy fence.
That's 6 foot?
Yeah, 6.
That's the current fence.
When you look at us like 6 feet more, gives us adequate protection.
You want to double the height? Okay, go ahead. You're the contractor?
Yes, sir, I'm a remodeler, and I'm a friend of
We need your name and address.
Pardon?
We need your name and the name of your
Earl
company.
Fisher, and my address is 1804 Sheila Court, Prattville, Alabama.
Okay.
And I'm a friend of the Currens in regards to this project, and I'm giving them advice. Mr. Curran wants to make the wall out of block, cement block, and I found another product that I think might work better. And it comes in, it's a fabric that comes in 6 foot by 30-foot measurements. And so we were thinking that 2 6-foot panels would help stop the sound. It's called acoustic block. And that's why we went to 12 feet rather than in any other measurement. But and the existing fence is 6 feet, and you can look and see the line of sight, if you added 6 feet to it, covers almost all of the road noise that the Atlanta Highway produces. Yep, that's it.
Does the lot go downhill? Okay, that's what it appears.
A lot. Just about. Your house is way above the grade of the Atlanta Highway.
I have a picture of the back of my house, but it's on my phone. I don't know if
That's too high.
I can see it on Google Maps.
I know exactly where you are. But your lot is above the grade of the Atlanta Highway.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You can see
You would
right
think.
into my. You can see right into my sunroom from Atlanta Highway. We have people that have passed by and called us and told us, "Hey, y'all are in your sunroom, relaxing." Yes, we are. Why are you looking in my backyard?
Have you considered some type of heavy-duty shrubbery like Leland cypress or something like that in conjunction with a fence?
There is Leland cypress back there that got the Leland cypress disease, so I think there's only 2 more existing. My husband and I would like to put a line of columnar Italian cypress behind it to help buffer the sound.
Yeah.
Have y'all looked into any other sort of acoustic type fencing, kind of like they have on the interstates and things of that nature?
That's what Mr. Fisher has been researching, and it's,
Is that something else we would have to approve, I guess, if they were to do some sort of acoustic type fence?
do you want to see the?
Mr. Holmes, you're entertaining the height?
Mr. Fisher, what is the material? Is this a wood material?
No, sir, this is a fabric.
I'm sorry, what?
Fabric, and it goes on either a wood fence that you build beforehand or a chain link fence and hold it up. And it's rated for 200 miles per hour winds, but it's a fabric that's porous and it stops the sound. What do you think?
James, I understand we're doing the height, but if they did do something different,
That would fall under their architectural review committee.
Okay.
Materials would not fall under this purview, but it would fall under their approval from homeowners.
got it, thanks.
What has to be approved of the homeowners?
The material, the homeowner associations out there are pretty strong, so I would highly recommend them to get approval from the homeowners association on the material they use.
We don't have a homeowners association. We have a neighborhood association, but there are no bylaws, and it is an optional.
Okay.
So you don't pay to a homeowner association
Only if I wanna
any
be-
dues? You don't pay any dues?
I pay dues if I want to be
Voluntary.
in the Fox Hollow directory. That's
Yeah.
about all I have, and the cameras. That's what we get out of it. But there's no bylaws in my neighborhood. I would have went there first if that was the case.
Well,
How much space do you own? Is that fence that you're requesting, is that on your property line, or is there property line beyond it?
That is actually the property line, but the fence that we presently have is actually about 7 feet in on the right side and about 12 feet in on the left side.
Okay,
And
so-
then we have the ditch behind us that goes along Atlanta Highway.
Okay, so if we approve this, can we approve it and also require them to do some sort of greenery on the opposite side, blocking Atlanta Highway from the fence and what have you?
I don't think we could require them to do that.
But if she agrees to it, based on, if she agrees to it in her testimony,
Yeah.
then she then would
Yeah.
need to.
You still got room.
She may have to adjust where the fence is located due to the ditch or the right-of-way and/or
Right.
both.
Right.
So if you want something behind it, and she mentioned earlier about putting something behind it.
And that line is without the easement that the city had removed the easement from that property line that is on there. And we just recently had it surveyed so that we know where exactly our property line is without the easement and the right of way.
So you still got room behind your existing fence you could plant.
Correct, sir.
Right. That's what we were getting at.
But
Okay.
aren't we saying that it's according to the material that is being used in order to establish this 12-foot fence?
No, that doesn't matter.
Is what?
They would have to.
No,
Are you
what
saying
what she uses is not up to us.
No.
We're giving her a height variance for that.
Yeah, she can use any kind of material she wants.
Okay. But for a 12-foot fence?
Right.
Okay, would you go to a 10-foot fence?
Would I
Would you,
go to a 10?
would you drop down from 12 to 10?
Would we be willing to drop to a 10-foot? Yes, if I have to get it approved.
Okay.
Whatever
All right.
if I have to get it approved so I can block the noise, I'm good.
Aesthetically, 12 feet is high,
Yes, sir.
okay? And once we allow it there, then the guy next door is gonna want it, and all of a sudden, we've been inundated with requests for the same thing, okay?
And you're building a new fence. You're not adding one to this one. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And-
it's gonna be a brand new fence.
Okay.
Okay?
And you're saying now that your fence is 6 feet high?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for a 10, we would have to change that 5 feet height to a 4 feet?
it's presently 6 feet, and
To get a
like
10, you
12,
would
but
need,
we're
You're just
willing to
changing the
go
variance.
Go to
It would
10.
be removed. You're just changing the variance.
It'd
amount
just be a
4 feet.
3-foot variance and not a 5-foot variance.
if, in order for it to be 10, you got 6 feet.
Yeah, it's a 4-foot variance.
A
now.
4-foot variance, I know I can.
No, sir, it's gonna be a 3-foot variance because 7 foot is
Oh,
allowed.
7 foot's allowed,
That's
okay.
where I'm going with. It's 7 foot's allowed, so if we granted 10, it's a 3-foot variance, okay?
Okay, so we're not dealing
Not
with the
5,
6 feet.
okay?
Okay.
All right, would you agree to put shrubbery behind that fence to
Oh,
help?
yes, absolutely. I gotta block the view, so,
Got it.
I mean, the only thing this fence is gonna do is block the sound for me, and then I have to plant something to block the view, because I don't want people looking in my backyard.
Okay.
So,
Any further questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to
Okay.
approve based on to approve it, a 10-foot privacy fence based on also the petitioner's willingness to plant greenery and shrubbery to cover the 10-foot height of the fence between the property line and the city's right-of-way.
Okay?
Second.
All right, good. Any further discussion? Are you straight on that?
yes, sir. I've briefed generals in the Air Force, and y'all make me more nervous than them. So, I'll do what
This
I
was easy.
Well, we try to help, you know.
Would
We
you state the
understand.
motion again?
Oh, man, that was so eloquent, I don't think I can do it again.
One more time.
Once in a lifetime. I'd like to make a motion to approve the height variance, allowing the petitioner up to, I guess it'd be a 3-foot variance, up to a 10-foot privacy fence with the additional agreement that she is willing to plant greenery and trees to cover the 10-foot fence between her property line and the city's right-of-way.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Do we have to get a second on that?
Mr. Markham.
Yes. Mr. Markham. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand.
Here you go.
Mr. Prince, you okay? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, item 6 is presented by John Scott. Mr. Scott here? Mr. John Scott. Regarding a privacy fence to be located at 3072 Linton Drive. No show. Item 7, presented by Bruce Pruitt, representing Inner City Church of Christ, requesting a side yard variance and a separation between structures variance for accessory structures to be located at 3 Johnson Avenue in an R65S zoning. Mr. Pruitt.
We put in a basketball court several months ago. We want to try to have a place where the kids, not only at church, but the kids in the community can come and enjoy it, and we can have maybe an influence on their lives. We got that basketball court put in, and then we decided that we would probably like to have a top on it. So got around and we got some donations to do that top. When I talked to the electrical folks about putting some lights in the top, they wanted to know how my building permit would read. I told them I didn't have a building permit. That started the whole process of what do I need to do, and we determined after a lot of work that we were not far enough from the property line, not even for the basketball. So that was going to pose a problem, putting a top on it, right there. So we side up over there to Lord Wetumpka Road. And so what we want to do is get a variance that we can put our top on our basketball court and our petition where the picnic tables will be, and be able to scoot over a little bit so that we can meet the requirements.
So the basketball court's already in. You just want to
Pat's
cover it.
there. I want to cover it.
You want to cover it. And so you're going to put a roof over it.
I'm gonna put a pole barn type.
Pole barn.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay.
And I thank you.
Any questions, board members?
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Will you entertain a motion?
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the motion as
We
presented.
grant the variance
Hold on.
requesting a
She's talking.
20 feet street side yard variance and a 6-foot separation between structures there.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second, Mr. Reese?
Second.
Any further discussion? Did I ask if anybody, one of the audience has?
You
Did I ask for that
thought so, yeah.
before we vote? Is anyone in the audience care to address this item? We have a motion to approve. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt.
Thank you.
Item 8 is presented by Diane Terrence, requesting a special exception for a mobile home for living purposes to be located at 445 Lamar Road in an Ag 1 zoning district. Ms. Terrence?
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Chairman and
Good
board
evening.
members. Yes, my name is Diane Terrence. We had a house fire, and we're requesting to have a mobile home put on our property to live in.
In the same place where the home was.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry about your home.
Thank you.
You'll be at least 50 feet back from Zach Gordon Lane. And looking at this, you're going to be pretty far back from Lamar Road, right?
Yes, sir.
What would you say? A couple hundred feet?
Yes, sir.
At least that. But basically where the house was.
Right.
Okay. And you are going to use this for your own family purposes and not rental?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
No rental.
No rental. Okay, well, we just have to ask those questions.
Okay.
Okay? Any question, board member?
Is this a temporary use, or is this,
No, this
you're not
is-
going to rebuild the house?
Right, this is permanent.
Permanent, okay.
Yeah.
You entertain a motion?
Not until asked if anybody in the audience has
And are there
question.
are there other mobile homes in this area, James?
Yes, there are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't have them pinpointed, but there are several in the area.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience that would care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Holmes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Prince. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Ms. Brown, you in favor?
Oh,
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Good luck to you with your new home. Item 9 is presented by Courtney Walker, representing Unique Elegance Event Center, requesting a variance to ordinance 17-2014 and a special exception for a place of amusement and assembly to be located at 2415 East South Boulevard in a B4 zoning district. Ms. Walker, I believe you intend to serve alcoholic beverages, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
You have to move that mask down or something. You intend to serve alcoholic beverages, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your closest door is going to be 50 feet from the nearest residential district line, whereas 250 feet is required. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're just looking through this. We look at these often. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Is all your activities going to be within the building?
Yes.
Are you going to have any outside activity?
No, sir.
What about serving liquor outside the building?
No, sir. It's only allowed inside.
All alcohol beverages inside the building,
That's correct.
correct?
Yes.
What are your hours of operation?
Hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 to 9, and then on the weekends from 9 to 1.
From 9 to 1?
Yes. 9 a.m. to 1 a.m.
All right, so that's what, Friday and Saturday night? What about Sunday night?
That's Saturday and Sunday night.
Saturday and Sunday night?
Yes.
Till 1 a.m.?
Yes.
Well, you're mighty close to the residential neighborhood there,
Yes, sir.
you know? And hours of operation, you're gonna have people disturbing others in those homes.
Yes, sir.
You have 24-hour security.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have parking lot security, that's 24 hours, and we'll also have our own security for each event that we hold.
Yeah. Well, that's mighty close to the neighborhood.
The parking lot has plenty of light.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's a shopping center parking lot. If we were to approve this, we're gonna require that your landlord, or you provide, that your landlord makes the provision to provide exterior lighting in the parking lot until you close for business.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Have you discussed that with your landlord?
Well, it's already adequate lighting out there.
The lighting in the parking lot, the lighting is 24 hours, the lighting never go off because they have other event centers in the shop.
I understand, but it's gonna be a absolute requirement if we saw fit to approve this. Okay? Any other discussion?
Ms. Brown, did you check that thing out? Ms. Brown, did you check on this? Everything good? You good with it?
Everything is good.
All right.
If they keep to what we're telling them to do.
I have a question.
Howard?
Do you plan to have a DJ in there?
Yes, but we've had the sound tested with a DJ system, and you can't hear it outside of the walls of the event center
You've had it tested. How?
with the actual DJ. We had it tested.
Who tested it?
What was it?
Actually, I had two DJs that actually come in the building. I also have my own DJ equipment as well that I play in there because the building is built on a brick floor, and we wanted to make sure that you wasn't able to hear the music outside of it.
Okay. It has been my experience with places like this that in the front door is fine. And maybe it's loud and maybe it's not. It depends on the time of day. Out the back door, 50 feet from people's houses, people tend to get around the back door and laugh and cut up and make a lot of noise. It becomes a nuisance when that happens. That happened in my neighborhood. I don't look forward to anything like that happening. DJs and people at parties have the best intentions until that happens. Turn it up. I've been there. We don't need that.
Yes, sir. Well, our back door is in an alley, so there's no traffic that will be going out the back door.
There's no way to get to that alley. Why is it there?
The back door is pretty much an emergency exit.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It leads to the back of the shopping center.
Yeah.
In order to get to the back of the shopping center, you have to go all the way around the shopping center in order to get.
Okay. But there is a back entrance and you can drive a car back there.
No. Well, you can, but
You can drive a car.
That alley is there for emergency purposes and fire trucks, okay?
yes.
I guarantee you that alley better be open or they'll shut that shopping center
Yeah.
down.
But you're not planning on using the back door for your
Correct.
people that
Correct.
are coming to your building?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it might be prudent to stipulate that the door is for emergency purposes only, so it doesn't get propped open or whatever. That would give staff some recourse if we got a complaint about the door being propped open for whatever reason, if it's stipulated that it's strictly emergency access only.
We'll see. Ms. Brown, you got a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Has this been properly advertised?
In
Yes, ma'am.
regards to
Beg pardon?
Sure. It's been advertised by the city.
Oh, okay. Now,
They wouldn't be here if it hadn't.
okay. Now, I'm kind of in a little tizzy about other events as requested.
Other events will be include such as baby showers, it can
No, you got baby showers, birthday parties, Sunday jazz, and other events.
It won't be like a concert or something like that. I mean, I just done named all the events that people actually have to have.
I understand what you're saying, but other events, I'm
You
talking
wanna go to
about
the-
maybe having something on the outside or
Yeah, no.
nothing on the outside.
No.
Okay.
Only
we
inside
stay
the
there?
building.
I asked that question at the beginning.
I didn't get an answer. Okay.
Well, she said no outside events, you know. Okay, any other question, board member?
Yes, I have one more question.
Mr. Howell.
Is there anything like this in this shopping center already, or has there ever been?
Yes, there is an event center already there.
Where is it?
It's on the corner, on the corner, on that very corner over there.
On the right?
Yes.
It's called Studio 24. It's like our room is like 5
Yeah.
And it-
and then you go around the side.
There's one on the end.
So does it back up to those houses as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have we had any complaints, James, about the other event centers?
Mr. Holmes, I believe that is the one that precipitated the ordinance, the buffer.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
So we have had a complaint now.
Well, it's been rectified, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I just have a problem with other events as requested.
okay. Well, it's very broad.
Is she wanting us to define other events? What other events is?
Would it be like a retirement party,
Yes,
so things like
basically
that?
Graduation parties.
Right. I mean, bridal showers. I mean, it really
Oh,
depends
it's
on what people
it's endless. It's very broad.
You're not gonna have bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, are you?
Some of the
Oh,
state.
no,
Well,
Okay.
okay. All right, any other questions?
So
Yes.
let me ask this question, James. What
Yes.
is the ordinance now?
What
What is the ordinance?
250 feet.
The 250.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
That's the ordinance you're talking about.
I believe
250
that
feet.
corner unit at one time is what brought about that
Okay.
ordinance.
I have another question
Mr.
for the
Howell.
staff. If we grant this variance at 50 feet and there is a problem, what happens about, if there is a noise problem or a traffic problem, what happens?
That would, that,
It was what?
Only the other events.
The council has to approve the liquor license. And
Yeah, they got to go before the city council to get the liquor license.
Okay.
they can pull it if there's a problem out there.
Other events
Yeah.
as requested.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I want to make a motion to approve with the stipulation that you agree to keep the back doors locked except for emergencies.
Have a motion to approve, have a second.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion denied.
I think we have to do that again because it's only 4 that denied and 3, so that's an odd number. It has to be 5.
No, we had 5 to deny.
Who was
all-
the 5th?
All in favor of the denial, please raise your hand.
It's only 4.
That was not the motion.
no
The
action
motion was to approve and that motion failed.
Right.
Motion failed.
Okay.
Yeah, the motion failed.
It failed on the basis of other
They
events.
just didn't have 5 votes. They could bring it again.
Other
Okay.
events.
How did you vote, Bo?
I voted for it.
Huh?
I voted for it.
You voted for it.
Right.
So we had 3 in favor, 4
4
against.
against, that's right.
Right.
The motion was denied.
Right.
Okay? You okay? Tommy, we got that right? Yeah.
The other events as requested.
Yeah.
That got me standing.
Yeah, it's broad. Is that it? Is that the last one?
No.
One more.
10.
I'm sorry.
10 and 11.
10 and 11.
Item 10, presented by Michelle Smith, requesting a variance to ordinance 17-2014 for tenant space on a multi-tenant building located at 3447 McGee Road. Okay? Same type situation except the closest door is 100 feet from the closest residential, nearest residential line.
It's 100.
Okay? So, are you Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, so Ms. Smith, I'm going to ask you some basic questions. Are all events going to be confined within the building?
Yes.
Do you have any activities outside?
No.
Are you going to serve alcoholic beverages?
Yes.
What are your hours of operation?
I want to be cleaned up and gone at 1 a.m.
I can't hear you.
I want it to be cleaned up and gone by 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yes.
How many nights a week?
Well, it's during the week. It's like kids parties, weekends kids parties.
1 a.m. till 6 nights a week?
Say that again.
What are your hours?
What are your hours of operation?
Hours of operation. From people, I'll say like. Let's see.
When are you
Kids
going to
party
open?
Kids party started like 3, 4 o'clock. And if somebody have something after that, they have to end it at 12 to be cleaned up and gone by 1.
But you want to be open till 1 a.m., correct?
Yes, but not during the week, like only on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay. So what are your hours of operation Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday from, I open up at like 3 or 5, depending on what time the party wants to start, and end at like 10.
At 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
That's Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday from 3 to 10 o'clock p.m. and Saturdays and Sunday nights from 9 o'clock in the morning to 1 a.m. the next morning, right?
I want to be at the parking lot at 1. So we close at 12.
Right. All right, so
guess-
the closest residential structure is 100 feet from
And
the
it's
back
not
door.
residential, it's commercial.
Huh?
It's commercial, it's not a residential.
No, it's an apartment.
That right there?
Those,
That's
those-
commercial. What the problem
No.
is the apartment building to the right.
No, that is,
Well, that's 100 feet to that commercial building.
That's a,
Or is that an
that's
apartment?
100 feet to that is 100 feet to the residential zoning line.
that's a residential zoning right behind it.
So is that an apartment building right there?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay,
Is that apartments?
Yes.
But it's residential.
got it.
Same question. Will you have a DJ?
No.
You won't?
They will have a Bluetooth speaker. I have a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
Because when you go out, like it's a 2-room. The front room is where they have the party. The back room is where they keep their food, like it's a refrigerator and all that back there. Then when you go on, it's a door, and that's the emergency exit.
Okay. Where does your music come from through your Bluetooth speakers?
Off a cell phone.
Okay. And what is it? I know it's off a cell phone. Is it regular commercial dance music or what?
About the music that's playing,
Yeah.
whatever they play, I guess. What they play at birthdays and baby showers.
Okay.
Just music you'd hear on the radio.
At-
Okay. Is what you hear on Hot 105 or?
Yes, something like that.
92.3?
No.
97.1.
I doubt. 97.9 jams. Right?
Or 97.1. It depends.
Oh, 97.1 is better. Okay. All right. I have been through this, and you're the second one. There's another one behind you. I have been through this with a neighborhood where the back door was open. And oh, it was hot. Let's open the back door. And the DJ kept banging away, and the people that lived behind it called the police. You don't need that. So if we do this, this needs the same kind of stipulation. Keep the back door shut. There's an alley back here behind the place, and people would congregate in the alley and open the door and have their own party outside. You don't want that. Okay.
And then when it happens, somebody got to go deal with it.
Yep.
Can
Okay.
we limit it to no DJ as she has said she's not going to have one? James?
Mr. Holmes, it's an event center, and she's gonna be renting it out if somebody, wants to bring somebody in to
She can do what
spin
she
some
wants.
records.
It's gonna be in the country.
We can't police it, and
Right.
I think
it's almost unpoliceable.
yes, sir.
Could you tell me what sip and paint mean?
You asking me, Ms. Brown? I don't have a clue what that is.
What is?
Sip and paint.
Where you sip on a drink and you paint whatever picture.
You do what?
You sip on a drink and you paint as you do it. Paint a picture.
Oh, okay, say that.
It's just a social event.
I'm not familiar with this area. Does that appear to be, is there like trees and things in between the parking and the building?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sip and paint.
so it appears this one's significantly different than the last one. It's smaller. There's a buffer of trees in between it and the apartment building. And she's stating that she's not going to have a DJ and things of that nature. And we can limit it, the back door use to emergency purposes only?
Yes, sir.
as well?
I think that's very prudent because we can write them a letter if that's violated.
This space is significantly smaller than the other one. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Hold on a minute.
And it's like a lot of trees.
You okay, Bob?
Yep, I'm good.
Ms. Brown, you got one more question?
Yeah, what do you mean by similar events?
Ma'am,
Similar events, that's kind of like.
It's a broad brush, okay?
No. That's kind of like what they were saying.
Bachelor
over here.
party,
Other
bachelorette
events
party.
as requested.
Graduation dinners,
Other events
Birthday
as
dinners.
requested on the other one?
A boy's birthday, a girl's birthday party. Right. Similar events.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Could you just take that off?
yes, ma'am.
I feel better. Similar events is something you just come up with and we didn't know about it. Now, let me ask you another question. You have parking lot, has adequate lighting. What about the parking?
Yes, ma'am. My salon is next door. I'm in a shopping center. It's like a dollar.
Okay.
Next to Bishop Parker, Dollar
This
General.
is the former Bruno Shopping Center. It's the Bruno's moved out. The space is now occupied by Bishop Parker Warehouse.
Okay,
That's
let me
what
make
it is.
sure I have
There's
what
a dollar,
you said.
Dollar
Dollar General.
General, so there's lighting in that parking lot. Yeah.
Okay, Sunday through
The
Saturday.
karate studio is at the, on the end is the barber shop, my salon, and then it's, empty buildings. And then all on the other end is, Club Reset. Formerly known, it was Envy at first.
So
You
let
used
me
to go
get
there,
this
Mr.
straight,
Prince?
what I have written down. Sunday
Oh,
through
okay.
Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Kid parties, adult birthday parties, sip and paint, baby showers. Can we eliminate that similar event?
Yes, ma'am.
Security is provided, parking lot
Maybe we'll
has
mess with you,
adequate
didn't we?
lighting, and the back door is closed.
Yes, ma'am.
And all events inside the building.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. Are there any other places in this shopping center like this now, or have there ever been?
It was an event center before I got it, but they moved out finally then.
So there's been an event center there before.
Yes,
You've
Do
already
you-
moved in this building?
yes,
Do you plan to serve alcohol?
yes.
Okay.
Because right now, I can't have a person, book an event for a 50th birthday or something, they can't bring alcohol. So I can't let them come in.
Okay.
No, he says it's an easy.
Any other questions?
So there's been one here before, and then there's a bar on the other end, correct?
Sounds like it.
Yes, it's
Okay.
Did we approve the one that was there before, Tommy?
It was in a different unit. The one that I believe that she's referring to was in a different unit.
Okay.
Okay.
Same shopping center,
It was
different
an
unit.
existing
Okay, but we've approved it in the
event
past.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
All right, any other questions?
center. We entertain a motion.
No, ma'am, not yet. Is there anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant motion for Sunday through Saturday at 9 to 1, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m., 10 p.m. Eliminate the similar events. Security will be provided for adult events. Let me ask you a question. Why only adult events?
Why what?
You can't ask a question in the middle
Why
of
no security? Security, you need security for every event.
She says security will be provided for adult events.
That's what I know. I'm saying, can I include that in my motion?
Sure.
Okay, for all events. Parking lot has adequate lighting. Back door closed. Everything inside the building.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Second for Mr. Prince. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck, Don.
Turn the page.
Too close. It's too close. Item 11, presented by Isaac Cooper. Same thing. Closest door is 60 feet from the nearest residential district, whereas 250 feet is required.
Ask again.
Hours of operation, Sunday through Thursday from 4 p.m. to 12 p.m., Friday and Saturday 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Security provided, parking lot has adequate lighting. You, Mr. Cooper?
Yes, sir, I am.
It's in the same shopping center as the one previous, right?
Yes, sir.
Next door. Right next door?
I believe so.
You believe so or you know so?
Looking up at the picture you have on display, I
think you are, aren't you?
Right by each other.
She's in Suite B and he's in C and D, so I'm going to assume they're next to each other.
Twice the size. Poor old A.
Okay.
But he's not asking for a special, an event center. He's asking for the variance to the ordinance.
Sir, you want to operate a lounge and a bar and a grill that will serve alcoholic beverages, correct?
Yes, sir. Our main means of income will be hookah, which is a flavored tobacco. That's what we'll be selling along with the small menu. We have a small menu prepared, and that will be the bulk of our income.
Okay. Any question, board members?
Yes. Has there been a place like this in this shopping center? Is there one there now, or has there ever been one there like this?
I believe it was called the Red Dragon.
Okay.
Was there previously, which was a restaurant that served Chinese food and alcohol.
In this same location?
In the same location.
Okay.
as,
Has there ever been a hookah lounge there like you're talking about?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you plan to serve alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Do you plan to have a DJ?
No, sir.
You don't? Okay.
I don't plan to have a dance floor. The
Okay.
space will be occupied with tables, chairs, and lounge couches.
So it's going to be a real hookah lounge?
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be a what, George?
Serving a small menu and alcohol,
Gotcha.
along with premium cigars.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the motion based on hours of operation, 4 p.m. to 12, Friday and Saturday, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Security will be provided at all times. Parking lot has adequate lighting. Do we need the back door closed?
Yes.
Back door closed.
Now, when we say back door closed, that means that it's for emergency use only.
Yes, sir. We don't plan to use the back door during hours of operation.
You can't have it blocked.
All events on the inside of the building.
Only to move products in and out and trash.
All activities inside the building.
All activities
Yes, sir.
inside the building.
Yes,
No
sir.
exterior alcohol served.
None whatsoever.
No exterior,
No alcohol served outside.
no alcohol served outside.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I believe Mr. Perkins on item number 1 is the gentleman left in the audience.
Say that again.
I'm assuming, John.
Are you assuming that's Mr. Perkins?
I am.
Is that Mr. Perkins? Is that you? Huh? You want to come up?
This is Mr. Perkins.
This is item number 1.
You got here on time. You was been gone.
I thought they were going to pool.
Well, he showed up. Okay, Mr. Perkins, let me just kind of cover this for you.
Sir,
Let me kind of cover this.
couldn't understand you.
I'm going to cover it for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You're here for you want to maintain 3 accessory structures that are already there. You want these variances as relates to setback and coverage, okay? Now, if we look at sir, Mike, can you go to the aerial photograph? You see all those structures there, Mr. Perkins?
Sir,
Do you see all those structures there? Are they all in place today?
I can't.
Are those structures there?
Structures,
Are those structures correct? Are they in the are they there today?
That is my garage right there. Well, let me help me. Thank you, sir.
John, we don't have a survey, so I can't validate anything.
Did we get a survey?
We requested one.
And that's what we requested.
That's what you requested. So if you want to give him more time, that's up to the board. But I can't validate anything that's discussed here.
Well, that was, Mr. Perkins, that was the reason we requested a survey for you to validate those structures and the distances between them and to the property line.
Yes, sir.
My question to you is, those structures that are shown on that aerial, do they exist today?
Yes, sir.
They're there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Perkins, how come you didn't provide the survey for us?
Because I called, and they said it was like 4 to 5 months.
You need to talk in the mic.
Sir, you got to speak into the mic.
Couldn't find an available surveyor.
He called 5 people and
Yeah.
they all were
And
booked.
they told me to do
2
like
months.
And
4
you
to 5
couldn't get
months.
anybody. Well, let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give you till next meeting to come back with a survey. Otherwise, we're going to deny it.
Mr. Stanley, you said next week?
No, next month.
Yes, sir.
Next meeting, you need a survey, or they're going to deny it, and you'll have to remove the building.
Yes, sir, but now,
You bring somebody
I
with you.
mean, that is, I just feel that's kind of hard on me, because if I could have had the survey this time,
Yeah.
I would have had it, because I believe in doing what the city says do. And,
Okay.
I mean,
That's just where we're at.
yes, sir.
Jeff Cody do it for him. Jeff Cody.
You got to comply.
I could survey it myself, I'd have had it.
We got to have a survey to confirm the location of those structures.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, we'll deal with it at the next meeting, one way or the
I
other.
mean, if I'm allowed to say something.
To have a motion to approve the minutes.
So be it.
What I'm saying is.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Oh, we have to
So
approve the
moved.
minutes.